Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So we're going to write an expression for the amount of people on the first bus. So they've started with X passengers and they've gone to 11 bus stops with X passengers. So altogether that is 12X. So we're going to have the first bus. And so we've got 12X. And then on the last bus stop, 19 passengers get on. So plus 19. Now for the second bus, well, we start with X and a further 5X come on. Because 5 bus stops with X passengers. So that's 6X altogether. And then 79 get on. And it says the first bus finishes with less passengers than the first. So the first bus finishes with less. And the way we show that is with this inequality here. Now all we need to do is solve that inequality. And we've got x on both sides, so we look at the x's. We've got 12x and 6x, so we always take away the smaller amount. So we're going to take away the 6x both sides. And next thing we're going to do is take away the 19 from both sides. And so, meant to be 60. Got ahead of myself. And the last thing we do is divide by 6 both sides. And so we've got x is less than 10. Now, it says here, assuming no passengers got off either bus, what is the largest value for x? Now, it is tempting to write down 10, but it says x has to be less than 10. So the biggest number we can get that is less than 10 is 9. To see if a number's in a sequence, we get the nth term and we get it equal to the number we think is in the sequence. And if the number is in the sequence, then we'll get an integer for n. If the number's not in the sequence, then we'll get a decimal. So we're just solving this now, and we're doing 135 take away 24, which is 111. And then we're going to divide both sides by 10, and you're probably already seeing the fact that it doesn't work exactly because n is 11.1, which means that Prisha is wrong. 135 can't be in that sequence. So we're given 21 to 4 is the ratio. And we're just going to have our lines in, because what we need to do is make the left hand side be 1. And to do that, for 21, I need to divide it by itself, divide it by 21. And we're going to do the same to the right hand side. So 21 divided by 21 is 1. Perfect, that's what we wanted. 4 divided by 21 is 0.190, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 1 to 0.19. So we're asked to find angle BCE. And that is going to be this one here, because you start at B, go to C, and then go to E, and it's the angle you make. And I might just choose a different colour, because we've already got red on here. So we're looking for this angle here. Now, my advice for these kind of questions is always just try and work your way around the shape with angles you know. So, for instance, I'm going to start with this angle here, and we're going to call this angle ADC. And we know that that must be 79 degrees, and always write down the reason. And we know it is because that is an isosceles triangle. So if you look, we've got an isosceles here, this one, and this one. And the bottom two angles, and I use the word bottom because I always imagine an isosceles as being this way up. The bottom two angles in an isosceles are always equal, so that must be 79. Now we've got 2 of the 3 angles in the triangle, and the last one is going to be angle DCA. And to work out what this angle is, we're going to take it away from 180. So we're going to do 180, take away the 279s we've just worked out. And the reason for that is angles in a triangle equal 180 degrees. Okay, so when we do that, we do 180, take away the 158, and we're left with 22 degrees. So we know that this is going to be 22 degrees. And now we can actually work out angle BCE, because it's going to equal angle DCA. And the reason for that is they are vertically opposite angles. So that's just going to equal 22 degrees. Now, it is really common for these types of questions for you to get maybe 1 or even 2 marks for the answer, but 1 or 2 marks normally for the reasons and for the explanations. In fact, I've seen quite a few exam questions where you get 2 marks for the reasons and only 1 mark for the answer. To find the median, we need to have all the numbers in a list from smallest to biggest and find the middle num. Now, we can't do that when we're using a table like this, or it's not very practical to. So we need a kind of different strategy, and the way we do it is to use a simple formula to find the position of the median. Now, the median will always be in the n plus 1 divided by 2 position. So we need to find out what n is, and we do that by adding up all the frequencies there. So let's add those together, and you get the sum of f. So those add up to 15. So if you do 3 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 5, you get 15. And so we've got 15 plus 1 divided by 2. 15 plus 1 is 16, divided by 2 is 8. So the position of the median is in the 8th position. Now, to easily find out which group, because it's asking for the class interval, which is just a fancy way of saying a group. So it could be this one, or it could be this one. To easily find out which group the median is in, what we do is a quick running total. So what I'm going to do is add up the frequencies as I go along. So we've got 3 there. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 2 is 9, plus 1 is 10, plus 5 is 15. And then what I do is just convert those into 3rd, 7th, 9th, 10th, and 15th. So what those numbers are the last time that a number is in that group. So we've got 3 numbers that are in the group 10 to 25, and the 3rd one is the last number in that group. The 4th one, therefore, will be in the 25 to 40 group. So we're looking for the 8th one. Well, the 7th one is the last one in this group. So the 8th one will be in this group here, as well as the 9th. Then the 10th one will be in the next group. So when it asks for a class interval, all you need to do is copy down exactly what the group is. So it's 40 to 55. And don't ever write down 40 to 55 or anything like that. Always copy it exactly from the table. So if we imagine we've got the 25 meter pipe here, and we've got the 35 meter pipe here, the question's basically asking us what can we cut all these pipes into, and they all have to be the same length that will fit with the 25 meter and the 35 meter. And essentially what this question is asking is, what is the highest common factor of 25 and 35? So to find the highest common factor, what we do is we just find the factors of 25, which is 1 and 25 and 5 and 5, and the factors of 35, which will be 1 and 35 and 5 and 7. And the highest common factor is the number in both lists, the highest number in both lists, so it's 5. So what we can do is we can cut all of these pipes into 5 meter pipes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, not to scale, and then 7 of these. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And so there's 7 in total. So each of these are 5 meter long, and there's no wastage. And that's the longest we can make the pipes for there to be no wastage at all. So my answer is 5 meters. So I'm going to start just by writing out the equation, and I can put my lines in. Okay, we're asked to make x the subject, so we're going to first of all add 10 to both sides. In fact, I'm just going to move all this over a little bit so I've got a bit more space. Okay, so we're left with m plus 10 on the left hand side, and we've got 1/7 x on the right hand side. Now to get rid of the 1/7, what I can do is just times both sides by 7. So 7 brackets m plus 10 equals x. So x therefore would equal 7 brackets m plus 10, but it says expand your answer fully, so we just go expand the brackets. 7m plus 70. The formula for the circumference of a circle is circumference equals pi times the diameter. In this question we're given the fact that the circumference is 37.7 and we're asked to find the diameter. So if we put our lines in, all we need to do is divide both sides by pi. So we've got 37.7 divided by pi equals the diameter. And so that is, when you round, well, it's 12.00 blah blah blah. Round to the nearest integer, that would be 12 centimeters. And we can try it by typing in 12 times pi, and we get what would round to 37.7. So for this question we need to understand the different types of graphs from different functions. So if we have a reciprocal graph, it looks something like this and like this. It could be the other way around and it could be distorted, but it basically goes down to a point along here. It goes to infinity and it goes to infinity along a point over here, and obviously those positions could change. Then we've got a linear graph. A linear graph is just any straight line, so just any kind of straight line, either up or down, and this doesn't look like either of those. Then we've got a exponential graph. An exponential graph just starts really small and then just really increases like that and just keeps going up. And here we kind of have that, obviously the other way around, it starts going down, but here it's actually going up, so it can't be a reciprocal graph. So the graph that this is, or could be, is a quadratic graph, because it's a nice U shape. So if we carry this on, it could be a nice U shape. It could also be a cubic graph as well. So it could go up and then down and then up, and that's a cubic graph. But the most obvious one is a quadratic graph. So quadratic function. To work out the area of this prism, we need to first of all work out the area of the cross section, which is this part here, so this triangle here. So to do that, I'm going to do half times base times height. So it's going to be half times the base, which is 22, times the height, which is 14. That gives us 154. So the volume is the area of the cross section times the length. So the area of the cross section we've just found out is 154, and the length is basically how 3D the shape is. So that's going to be 15. So the answer is 2,310 centimeters cubed. So we're going to start by understanding that all lines form or can form an equation y equals mx plus c, with m being the gradient and c being the y-intercept. It says here the gradient is -2, so we've already got a bit of a head start with this, but we don't know what the y-intercept is. So we're going to use this first set of coordinates to work out what the y-intercept is. So y is -31 and x is 15. And we're going to use this to solve and find out what c is. So first thing I'm going to do is, well, just tidy this up. 2 times 15 is 30, so minus 30 plus c. And I'm just going to add 30 to both sides to get c on its own. So that would be minus 1 equals c. So c is minus 1. So we now know that the equation is y equals minus 2x minus 1. And we're told that the y is minus 37. And we're looking for the x value, which they've called w. So let's get our solving lines in. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add 1 to both sides. And so it would be minus 36 equals minus 2x. I'm going to now times, or divide everything by minus 2. And a negative divided by a negative is positive. 36 divided by 2 is 18. And then obviously that gets rid of the coefficient of the x, so it's just x. So x equals 18, so the x value is 18 and the x value is the w value. So w is 18. When proving two triangles are congruent, and congruent means exactly the same, we're going to have one of 4 answers. Either side angle side is the same, angle angle side, or angle side angle. Side 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 are the same, or they have the same right angle, hypotenuse and side. This question doesn't have a right angle, so we can cross that out. It has 2 lengths, so 2 sides, but not 3, so we can cross that one out. It only has 1 angle, so we can cross this one out. So we're looking to see whether it has the same side, then angle, then side. So here we've got 13 as a side, then 139 as an angle, then 6 as a side. 13 as a side, 139 as an angle, and then 6 as a side. So they have the side, angle, side. So to find the area of a rectangle, we do length times the width. So here, to find the area, we will do the 10 times the whole of the 10t plus 4. And to show that we're doing the whole of it, we put it in brackets. So a different way of writing that is 10 brackets 10t plus 4. And whichever method you use to expand brackets, feel free to do it here. I'm going to just do the grid method, but whatever method you prefer. Actually, I don't need the, I've done too many here. Let's get rid of that. So we've got 10 times 10t plus 4. So and we're timesing them, so 10 times 10t, 10 times 10 is 100, so it'd be 100t, 10 times 4 is 40. So our answer will be 100t plus 40. We can keep this as an interior angle, but it's actually sometimes easier to convert it to an exterior angle. And what you might know is that the sum of interior and exterior angles is going to be 180, because they will always form a straight line. So to find the exterior angle, all we need to do is 180 take away the 170, and that means it will be 10 degrees. So we've already done a different formula for exterior angle, which is 360 divided by n. And something we can do is we can just swap these two things around, and so we can make the formula that n equals 360 divided by the exterior angle. So 360 divided by the exterior angle, well, we know that the exterior angle is 10, therefore n is 360 divided by 10, which would be 36. The first thing we can do is work out what the circumference of the full circle would be. Obviously we haven't got a full circle here, but what the circumference of the full circle would be had we got a full circle. So that's going to be pi times the diameter. The diameter is twice as big as the radius, and this 21 centimeters here is the radius of a full circle. So that's going to be pi times 2 lots of 21, which is going to be 42 times pi, which is going to be 131.946 blah blah blah. Now, we don't have a full circle here. We've got to work out what fraction of a circle we have. Well, we obviously have a quarter of a circle. So to find the arc length, which is this part here, it's like a part of a circumference, to find the length of the arc, what we're going to do is just get that circumference and we're just going to divide it by 4. So we're going to get the 131.946, blah, 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 and divide it by 4. When we do that, we get 32.986, blah, blah, blah. Now, that's not what the perimeter is. Perimeter is the total distance around the circle. So we've also got to add on the 2 parts here, the 2 radii here, to get the full distance around the circle. So the perimeter is going to be the arc length plus a radius plus a radius. So that's going to be 32.986 blah 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 plus 21 plus 21, which equals 74.986 blah blah blah. And when we round that to 2 decimal places, we get the answer of 74.99. So we're going to first of all work out the curved surface area, which is just this bit here, not including the top and bottom. And the formula for that is 2 pi r h. And the h is this bit here, so it's 2 times pi times the radius at the top, which is 12, times the height, which is 19. And that gives us 1432.566, blah, blah, blah. Next we go work out the area of the circle at the top. So circle area. And the formula for that is just pi r squared. So pi times 12 squared, which will give us 452.389, blah, blah, blah. Now there are actually 2 circles, so when we work out the total surface area, so total surface area, we add the curved surface area to 2 lots of the circle surface area, or areas of the circle, because there's 1 circle at the top and 1 at the bottom, and that gives us 2337.344 blah blah blah, and 2 decimal places, that is 2337.34. The formula for an exterior angle for a regular polygon is 360 divided by the amount of sides. Now here we're given the fact that the exterior angle is 30 and we're looking for n, so we just need to rearrange the equation. We can times both sides by n, and then divide both sides by 30. And so we've got n equals 360 divided by 30. And when you do 360 divided by 30, we get the answer of 12. So it's a 12-sided shape. So in this question, we are told that the centre of enlargement is at 6, 4. So let's just put across there. And what I'm going to do is just draw ray lines from the centre of enlargement. And we're just going to go through each of the corners of our shape A. And we're going to just check whether it goes through the corner of shape B, which it does on this one. Let's just keep going. Yeah, it does on this one. But it does not on this one. So it says find the coordinate of the vertex of shape B that is not correct. So the coordinate is this one here. And so that would be -4, 1. So we're going to first of all convert the 11 litres into millilitres. So we're going to do 11 times 1,000, which would be 11,000. Okay, so we're going to just draw a line, like a number line. And we're going to have the 11,000 in the middle. Now, what would be the next one down if we're looking at the nearest 10 mil. So we're going to add a 10 mil on, which will be 11,010, and we're going to take the 10 mil away. So 11,000 take away 10 mil will be 990. Now when we're looking at limits, with the upper and lower part of it, we are looking at halfway points. So halfway here and halfway here. So this halfway point will be 10,995, and the next one will be 11,005, and that's the halfway points. And so that is going to be our upper and lower bound. And we just need to say that V can be anything above the 10,995 and including that, and it can be anything below 11,005, but it can't include that, because if it did, if it was 11,005, it would have rounded up to 11,010. There's a lot going on with this question, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in all of the time signs that we don't normally show. So we've got 10 times 12x times y to the power 4 times 13 times x to the power 4 times y to the power 4. And I'm going to reorder these to put the numbers together, first of all. And with multiplying, it doesn't matter which way around you do it, so I'm not changing anything. I'm going to put the x's together. And I'm going to put the y's together. So, first thing to do is 9 times 13, which is just 117. Then we've got x to the power of 12 times x to the power of 4. Now we know when we multiply two powers of the same base, and the base is x on both of those, we just add the powers. So it's 12 plus 4, which is 16. So it'll be x to the power of 16. And then y to the power of 4 times y to the power of 4, we just add them together, so it's y to the power of 8. First thing we need to do is work out the volume of this prism, and it's a trapezium-based prism. So the volume will be the area of the cross-section, or area of the trapezium, times the length, how 3D the prism is. So trapezium is half a plus b h, and then times the length. Now A and B are the two parallel sides, which will be this one and this one. And then the H is the perpendicular line that hits both of them at 90 degrees, which is what perpendicular means, between the bases. So this will be the 25 meters here. So it's going to be half, and then we're going to add 1 and 5, times that by 25. The length is how 3D it is, so it would be that 10 there. So we're going to times that by 10, and that will give us 750. So it's 750 meters cubed. Now, there is a little formula we can make for the rate. So the rate of anything for this will be the volume gained over time. Now, with this question though, we're interested in the time it will take. It says how long will it take. So we're actually looking at the time. So it will be time equals the volume, which is 750, over the rate, which is 15. So 750 divided by 15 is 50. So it will take 50, and let's have a look. It says per minute. So it would be 50 minutes. So we've got a right angle triangle here, and we've got two lengths and an angle involved in the question. So we are going to be using trigonometry. And the first thing to do with trigonometry is label the sides. So the one opposite the right angle is the hypotenuse, the one opposite the marked angle is the opposite, and the one between the right angle and the marked angle is the adjacent. Now notice that hypotenuse doesn't have a number or letter next to it, so we're going to cross that out. We're not interested in that. And we're now going to just draw our triangles, our SOHCAHTOA triangles. So it would be SOHCAHTOA. And we've crossed out the H, so it's not going to be SOH or CAH, it's going to be TOA, because TOA is the only one without an H. So it's going to be tan the angle equals the opposite over adjacent. So the angle is 48. So tan 48 equals the opposite, which is x, over 2.3. I'm going to put our lines in. And notice here we just need to times by 2.3 both sides to get x on its own. Now be careful when you type in tan 48, most calculators will open a bracket after typing in the tan, so make sure you close it after the 48, then type in times 2.3, and we get 2.554 blah blah blah. And so when we round that to 2 decimal places, that would be 2.55. We don't have to for this question, but it might be helpful to draw a Venn diagram for this. And we've got green and brown leaves. So we'll have green on the left and brown on the right. So green and brown. And we're told that there are 19 green and 15 brown and 6 that were not green and brown. So the only number we can put in is the 6 on the outside of the Venn diagram. We're told that 19 are green, but we don't know which, either they're in here or a bit of both. So what we can do is we can label the center X, and we can say that there are 19 take away X just green, because they could have been both green and brown. And for the brown we can do the same, so it'd be 15 minus X. And for the next step, we know that all of them together add up to 32, because it says in the question. So we're going to add all of these, the 19 minus X, the 15 minus X, and the 6 together, and we know that equals 32. And let's get our solving lines in. So we've got minus x and minus x, that's be a minus x. And we've got 19 plus 15 plus 6, which will be 40, equals 32. We're going to take away the 40 both sides. And we can just times by minus 1 both sides to make them both positive. So now we know x is 8, we can start filling in the Venn diagram. So it's 19 take away 8, which will be 11. X is 8, so we know that that's 8. And 15 take away 8, which is 7. So find the amount that were green and brown. We know it's going to be 8. What I'm going to start off by doing is rearranging this equation so that it kind of matches this one. So I'm just going to write it down. And we want the n to be minus 2. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put my rearranging lines in, and we're just going to add 10 to both sides. Now, we've already got this line drawn for us on this graph. And so all we need to do is draw this line. So we've got y equals 10x squared plus 8x minus 2 drawn for us. We just need to draw this line, which is y equals 10, and see where they cross over to find the solutions. So y equals 10 will be all the way up at the top. Let's just make sure I get it nice. There we are. I need to move that up a little bit. There we are. And let's read off the values that gives us. So it comes down here, and it comes down here. So the values it comes down to are minus 1.6 and 0.8, and those are our solutions. This question is the same as questions you get where you've got y equals 8x squared, and you've asked to find what y is when x equals 3. The questions are exactly the same, but instead of y, we write f of x. And this is saying that the function is 8x squared, and we want to feed in the 3 into the function. So it's going to be 8 times 3 squared, and 3 squared is 9, and 8 times 9 is 72. So the answer would be 72. So we're going to first of all find out how many potatoes were below 22 grams. So we're going to draw a line up at 22 and a line across, and that is 13. So there are 13 potatoes below 22 grams. And so to work out the probability of picking one below 22 grams, it's the amount that we have below that amount, or below that weight, over the total amount of potatoes, which will be 20. So it'd be 13 over 20, which is equal to 65 over 100. So that would be 65%. So we're told that the two cuboids are similar, which means we can have scale factor, and we can work out the linear scale factor straight away to find out what we times the 14 by to get to the 49. We're going to do 49 divided by 14, big one divided by small one, and that gives us 14. Does it? No, 3.5. Okay, so we times it by 3.5. So 14 times 3.5 is 49. But that is the linear scale factor. And this question is all about volumes. So we're looking at going from here to the volume of the smaller one. Okay. So whenever we go from the bigger to the smaller, we're going to divide by the scale factor. So we know we've got to find the scale factor and divide by it. But the volume scale factor is going to equal the linear scale factor cubed, because volume scale factor has 3 dimensions. Volume has 3 dimensions, therefore it's going to do the linear scale factor 3 times in a row, times 3.5, times 3.5, times 3.5, or 3.5 cubed. So the volume scale factor, we're just going to cube that 3.5, and we get 42.875. So it'd be 42.875. And so on our calculator, we're going to do 4,201.75 divided by the 42.875, and we get the answer 98. So we're told that y is inversely proportional to the cube root of x. And to get rid of this proportionality sign here, we just convert it to an equals and times the right hand side by k, which represents a constant. And we now need to figure out what that constant is. So we're going to feed in the value of y and x that's given to us in the question. So we've got 10 equals k over the cube root of 343. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to solve that. So put our lines in. Now the cube root of 343 is 7. So we can actually just, it's a lot easier, and we're just going to times both sides by 7. So k equals 70, and we're just going to rewrite this, but instead of k, we're just going to write 70. So y equals 70 over the cube root of x. We're going to start by working out what outcomes will give us 2 different types of drink. So we could have OA or AO. We could have AW or WA. And we could have OW or WO. Now what we notice really when we do this is that OA gives us the same probability as AO. Same with AW and WA, same with OW and WO. So we're going to just ignore the right hand side ones, and we're just going to focus on the left hand side ones. To work out the probability of O and then A, so orange juice then apple juice, we work out the fact that it's 6 over, well, the probability of picking orange juice first of all is 6 over 27. And then if we picked an orange juice, the probability of picking an apple juice would be 9 over 26. And so that would be 54 over 702. Apple juice then water would be 9/27, and then 12/26, and so that would be 108/702. And then orange juice then water will be 6/27 and 12/26, and that would be 72/702. Now we're looking at the probability of this or this or this, and the word or means add. So the probability of OA or, I should put that in brackets, probability of OA or AW or OW is these added together. And when you add them together, you get 234/702. Now, I said we would deal with the reverse situations now. I'm going to deal with that now. And as I said, OA is going to be equal to AO, AW is equal to WA, and OW is equal to WO. So all we need to do to find the probability that the drinks are different is get the 234/702 and just double it. And we can do that by just doubling the numerator, so 468/702. That cancels down to 2/3, so there is a 2/3 chance that the drinks will be different. I'm going to first of all just focus on this rectangle here. And we know that to find the area of a rectangle, you multiply the two lengths. And when you've multiplied them for this rectangle, we get 697. But let's write down what A is equal to. And A will be equal to the area, which is 697, divided by the length at the top, which is x plus 30. Now let's focus on the other square, or the other rectangle. And this time we have A equal to the area of it, which is 1870, divided by the 10x. Now because both of these are equal to A, we can actually just get both of these fractions equal to each other. And what we can do is work out what x is going to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my lines in because we are looking to solve. This is probably going to take a while. And I'm going to times both sides by the x plus 30, so I can get rid of the denominator on the left hand side. And so this will just be 697 on the left hand side because that gets rid of the denominator. And it would be 1870 times x plus 30, and then all of that over 10x. Same thing again, but I'm going to get rid of the denominator on the right hand side, so I'm going to times both sides by 10x. So we've got 697 times 10, which would be 6,970x, because it's 10x. And it won't actually do anything to the right hand side, but I am going to expand the top, the numerator. It just gets rid of the denominator. So let's expand while I'm here. So that would be 1870x plus, what is it, 56,100. I believe that's right. Yep. Okay, so now we've got x's on both sides. So we look and see which one is the smaller amount of x, which is the 1870, and we're going to take that away from both sides. So take away 1870x from both sides, and that will leave 5100x on the left hand side, and then obviously we've got the 56,100 on the right hand side. And we want to get rid of the 5,100, so we're just going to divide both sides by 5,100. And so we've got x equals 11. So now we know x is 11, we can pick one of the equations that we had at the start, and I'm just going to pick the first one, and we can just feed in the value of x. So a equals 697 over, instead of x, it's going to be 11 plus 30. And when you do that, you get the answer of 17. So a is 17. So the easiest way to do these types of questions is to draw two-dimensional representations of the triangles. So we're looking for length BH, which is this length here, all the way along here. So we can't go directly there, but what we can do is we can find out what FH is. If we draw a little right angled triangle here, and let's copy across this 3 centimeters. So if it's 3 centimeters on the right, it will be 3 centimeters on the left. And let's draw in this little right angled triangle here. And we've got EF is 3, EH is 2, and let's look for FH. Okay, so FH will be the one we're looking for. Now, it's a right angled triangle. You've got 2 lengths, you're looking for the third length. It's definitely going to be Pythagoras. So it's going to be FH squared equals EH squared plus EF squared. Let's get our little tram lines in. And EH squared, that's just 2 squared. That's 3 squared. That's going to be 13. Square root both sides to find out what FH is. And square root of 13 is 3.605, blah, blah, blah. You could leave it as square root 13. And now, because we know that length, we can actually work out what the length BH is by drawing another right angled triangle. And this time we've got the missing length for this triangle. So we couldn't do this before because we didn't know what the bottom length FH is, but we do now. It's 3.605, blah, blah, blah. And the height is the same as over here. It's going to be 4. And so we're going to write down that BH squared, it's Pythagoras again, so we're looking for BH here, is going to equal to FH squared plus BF squared. Get our little tram lines in. Okay, so that's going to be the 3.605 blah blah blah, which I'm going to keep in my calculator, plus 4 squared. That's going to equal 29, exactly 29. Square root both sides, and you get BH equal to 5.385, blah blah blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so therefore I'm going to leave it as 5.39 centimeters. Now there is a quicker way of doing this, a little formula. And what you can do, if you're looking for the length of a diagonal in any cube or cuboid, you can do a squared plus b squared plus c squared and square root it all. So you do 2 squared plus 3 squared plus 4 squared, square root it all, you also get 5.39. You might ask, why haven't I done that for this one? Well, there's going to be some trigonometry questions based upon 3-dimensional cuboids where there's no simple formula to do, so it's always good to break them down into 2 triangles if you can. So to find the shaded part of this diagram, we need to first of all work out the volume of the smaller cone, which is at the top, then work out the volume of the larger cone, which is the whole cone shown, and then take them away from each other. So the radius for the smaller cone is 4 and the height is 5. And the radius for the larger cone is 20 and the height is the 20 plus the 5, so it would be 25. So I'm just going to label them A and B. And so why don't we work out the volume for B first? And the formula for the volume of a cone is 1/3 pi r squared h, with h being the perpendicular height. So it's 1/3 times pi times 20 squared times 25, which is going to be 10,471.975, blah blah blah. We're going to work out the volume for A, and this time it will be 1/3 times pi times the radius now is 4, and the height is 5. So that'll be 83.775, blah, blah, blah. So to work out the shaded bit, we're just going to do the volume for B, take away the volume for A. So it's going to be 10,471.975, take away 83.775. And all those I'm going to keep in the calculator to keep the accuracy. And that gives us 10,388.199, blah, blah, blah. And to 2 decimal places, it's going to be 10,388.20. A simple trick when you're finding the inverse of a function is to replace or to switch the y and the x. Now we don't actually have a y in here, but we can just put one in, it's not a problem. So we can just rewrite this function as y equals x over 10 minus 11. And we're just going to switch around the y and the x. So x equals y over 10 minus 11. Now the objective now is to get the y on its own, to make y the subject. So we're going to first of all add the 11 both sides. And I've made an amateur move here. I've not left myself enough room, so let's just scoot that across. Okay, so add the 11, so it would be x plus 11 equals y over 10. Next thing we're going to do is multiply by the 10 to get y on its own. So it would be 10 brackets x plus 11 equals y. Expand those would be 10x plus 110 equals y. Now this doesn't equal y. We are looking for the inverse function with this notation here. So we just replace the y with this notation and we get 10x plus 110. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.